That's worth digging all the way to the fifth one for.
That's worth the, we just got to keep going for that one.
Yeah, we just got to keep going. There's no reason not to.
We just got to keep going. You know what else we got to keep going for?
What's that?
Hey there, everybody. Welcome back to Pixel. My name is Kevin. With me, as always, is Phil. And today is part 2 of Five Nights at Freddy's, the Twisted Onis. The Twisted Ones.
I think that's how you pronounce it.
Yeah. I just think of that thing you do.
The Oneaters?
The Oneaters. Like, we're going to change the name to the Wonders, spelled with a W. And one guy goes, as in, I wonder what happened to the Oneaters.
Yeah. Man, I haven't seen that movie in forever. I remember it being really good. I wonder if it holds up.
I don't know if it holds up, but I also have not seen it in forever. It was one of those movies that, like, in the 5 years after it came out, I must have seen it like 100 times. Because it was like a movie that was just like always on HBO or whatever. Be like, yeah, fine, watch that thing you do.
Yeah, but it's on. Let's just do it. Whatever.
It's on. We're gonna watch it, I guess. Yeah. But yeah, so instead of dilly-dallying, we're going to get right into it. No dilly.
No dallying?
No dill pickle
Just marshy?
Just marshy. Body, marsh, boom.
Big fucking dog, man.
Chapter 6. So at the end of chapter 5, Charlie was like cosplaying as a hole in the ground.
Pretty much, yeah.
So she gets out of the hole in the ground and she's like, shit, I gotta go meet John for dinner.
Yeah.
So she rushes off to meet John for dinner and she shows up at the restaurant. She's like covered in dirt. And John's concerned.
Yeah.
And Charlie's like, I'm gonna go to the bathroom and clean up. So first she calls Clay to talk about the holes in the ground. Mm-hmm. And she's like, can you give me the addresses of the other victims? And he's like, yes, because I'm a terrible cop.
Yeah, I am just awful at my job.
Yeah.
Here you go. Here you go. Barely legal teen.
Yeah, here you go. Investigate this.
Yeah. Do my job for me.
Do my job for me. Clay thinks that he's in Scooby-Doo. Clearly.
I'm so glad you made that comparison because I finished the book today and I was like, this is Scooby-Doo. This whole thing is fucking Scooby-Doo. It's somewhat grimmer. Somewhat. Not even much.
It's like it's somewhere between like Scooby-Doo and the earnestness of the Hardy Boys.
Yeah. Absolutely. Now you're speaking my language.
I was for some reason I woke up this morning thinking about the Hardy Boys, and I was like, do they still write those? That's
a great question.
Are there still ongoing Hardy Boys books?
Out of those. Let me see.
And like, I know the Venture Brothers was basically a takeoff on the Hardy Boys, and it was like Venture Brothers is like Hardy Boys mixed with like 1960s Hanna-Barbera like adventure cartoons.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, I don't know
Hardy
if it's...
Boys stopped being written in 2005. The original ones. I mean, I imagine it's a bunch of other people writing under Franklin W. Dixon's name. Holy shit. On New Year's Day of this year, the first 3 books entered public domain.
Holy shit.
Like, that's how old these goddamn things are.
I could write a goddamn Hardy I could just use the Hardy Boys.
Yeah. Or at least from the first 3. Well, hold on. How do they put this? The first 3 original editions, not revised editions, which I don't know. Maybe they updated
are the characters in public domain?
That's a good. I don't think so. Just those books, which is weird. How can you have one and not the other?
Well, yeah, I guess it depends. I don't know. Like, that's why they're always changing the appearance of Mickey Mouse over the years very slightly, because it's like this version of Mickey is in the public domain. Like, you can use like the Steamboat Willie version, but you can't used the one from like 1976 yet. You know what I mean?
Right. That makes sense.
That specific visual.
That's just the kind of diabolical genius of law that a Disney team of lawyers would have. Like,
well, was the Sherlock Holmes thing. There's that book Enola Holmes, which is a young adult series about Sherlock Holmes's sister. And there's been 2 Netflix movies so far made with Millie Bobby Brown playing Enola Holmes. And there was a lawsuit because in it, Sherlock shows emotion, right?
Oh.
He shows some emotion in these movies. And there was a lawsuit saying the stories in which Sherlock Holmes shows emotion are not in the public domain.
Huh.
They're still copyrighted. And I was like,
wild.
That's like a fascinating, like, thin slice of like this aspect of like the character is in the public domain, but this aspect of the character is not, because this aspect of the character was not revealed until this publication, which is not in the public domain.
I didn't know it could get that granular. That's fascinating.
Apparently it can.
Okay.
I think the lawsuit might have been tossed, but, you know.
That is fascinating, though. Okay. Shit.
So, rewind. Charlie's in the bathroom.
Yeah.
And she's washing off, and she goes to the door, and she tries to leave, but her hand freezes again.
Yeah.
Like this happened earlier in the library, and she's trying to open the door and she's screaming to get out. And finally she flies through the door and into John's arms, and everybody's just like staring at her.
Yeah.
And she's like, "Can we go now?" And he's like, "Yeah." And she's just like, as she's walking out, she just says, "Food poisoning."
Right. Yeah. She pulls an Ace Ventura, "Do not go in there" moment, basically.
Oh, God. Yeah. So Charlie then they're in the car, and instead of telling John what happened, she goes, "Hey, can we go to my dad's house?" And John's like, "Oh, yeah, I guess you haven't seen it since the storm. All right."
Yeah, it's just like, yeah, the storm. That's what I give a shit about. Uh-huh.
That's it right there.
Mm-hmm.
So they get there, and Charlie wants to go in, and John's like, "That's a terrible idea."
Terrible idea. One of your worst. And you've had a few.
You've had a few, Charlie. He's like, "It's not very stable since the damage to the storm," and they go in anyway. Yeah. And John nearly loses a foot that gets stuck in the steps, and there's like jagged pieces of wood like sticking into his ankles. I have to tell you, this happened to me once.
Yeah.
I was helping my brother move into his condo. At the time, he was living in Brookline, Massachusetts, Brookline is, you know how Boston itself is actually kind of small, and there's a bunch of cities around it. It's like there's the greater Boston area, but that's including like Cambridge, Brookline, all these other towns that are attached to Boston. He was living in Brookline. He's moving into this condo, and we get inside, and there's these marble steps, and we're carrying a table in, and he goes up the steps backwards. I'm going up the steps, and I put my foot on one of the steps, right on where there was a crack in the step, and my foot goes through the step all the way up to my hip.
Jesus.
And I fall backwards, and then the table, like I drop the table, it lands on my chest, and we were trying to be smart and move multiple things at once. So I had, those wire racks with like the metal wire, baker's wire racks with the legs or whatever. Well, that was sitting on the back side of the table. So like it falls, and one of the legs slides and shunk right next to my head.
Jesus Christ. Oh,
so yeah,
to die in Massachusetts. What a
to
gift.
live and die in Brookline, Massachusetts. Yeah. So step is broken, and later, we went downstairs into the basement of this building, and it's, it was like a 15-foot drop through the stairs if the rest of the step had given way.
Jesus
and it's like,
Christ.
there it is. There's the hole.
Sweet. That's where my story could have ended. Awesome.
That's where it could have been picture wrap.
Oh, yeah. Nice. Real nice.
Real nice. So, anyway, Charlie helps John get his foot out of the step. They go to her room and they see her robo unicorn and doll, and Charlie has the realization that she's been doodling doors in the margins of her notes when she sees the closet doors in her room. They're like, let's go check out the workshop. And they go to check out the workshop, and there's like a tree that has fallen onto the workshop. And John's like, well, we're not going in there. And he says this to nobody because Charlie's already going in there.
Yeah. What they left out was him following that up with, to no one.
Yeah, to no one at all. So she moves some sheet metal. She gets inside, and she starts just like tossing the place. She's just looking for things. And she starts slamming on a door that won't open. And John's like grabs her and tells her to stop. And she just starts screaming. There must be something in there. And then she finally tells him what's up and calms down. Like, yeah, dead bodies, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah. Which it's totally fair for him to be confused by this twist in events because everything has been treated with such blasé attitude that it's like either death and murder or it's an episode of Friends.
Yeah.
I just
R.I.P. Matthew Perry.
We miss you, buddy.
Game was rigged from the start. Matthew Perry, his Fallout New Vegas opening lines.
Beautiful.
So they turn and they notice the back face of the house is missing, and that they actually could have there's like nothing actually supporting her bedroom anymore.
Yeah.
And that it like could have just collapsed at any time.
I love that moment where it's just like, oh, we have a lot of other things to be concerned about, don't we? Okay.
Like we could have just died right there.
Yeah.
Okay.
And had nothing to do with killer animatronics. Like,
yeah.
Jesus.
But it's also revealed a room that she's never been in before. Mm-hmm. So I guess it's like the living room wall was like a little bit in. There's like an extra room that just didn't have a door that she just never knew was there.
Yeah.
They check it out and they find similar graves in it, like the ones behind the house that she was just at. And inside of it, inside one of these holes, they find a disfigured foxy. Yeah. And it attacks Charlie. John knocks the head off and drop kicks it across the room.
Sure.
And he starts feeling sick. And they find something that's generating a high-pitched frequency that makes them think Foxy is a regular Foxy and not some random amalgamation of terrifying parts.
Okay, cool.
Cool.
All right.
So they take it and they leave to go back to Charlie's dorm room. So we get to chapter 7. Charlie and John go back to her dorm room, and Charlie explains that the disc that was making the noise is a diagnostic tool. And she starts going through some of the other junk that she had found, noting that there's parts of robots that she knows her dad didn't make. Mm-hmm. And then John notices on one of the discs that there's a label that says Afton Robotics LLC. Now, at this point, Charlie had always thought that William Afton was just a business partner, but he was actually a robot guy in his own right.
Yes.
Charlie also tells John about how one of the dead bodies looked like her. And they got the addresses from Clay earlier. So they pull out a map and they start putting the addresses of these, like, of the houses of these dead people on the map. And it looks like each time the animatronics move, it's the same amount. It's like a uniform amount of distance. Like they can move this far in a day.
Yeah.
And then Jessica comes in while they're talking about people getting killed by animatronics. And Jessica's like, I'm in on whatever you're doing.
Fucking Jessica. Just offering nothing.
Offering nothing. A real
just
Fred.
Another warm body. That's really all it is.
She's a real Fred in this case, you know?
Oh, yeah. I like, by the way, the fact that we have gotten rid of one of the teens from the first book and have replaced him entirely with his cop dad. I think that's hilarious.
Yeah, it's like, fuck having a kid. He's just his cop dad.
Yeah, it's just cop dad, and we don't have the little kid to keep in danger anymore.
That little kid was terrible.
Yeah. And there was wasn't there one character whose entire role was to be the token black guy?
Yes.
So
hasn't even been mentioned.
No.
The only character that has of the other kids that has been mentioned is Carlton, and that's only because his dad is a character.
Yeah. That's it. That's the whole thing. I love that. That cracks me up.
Martha or Marcia or whatever, and her younger brother, and the token black guy. Not mentioned. Nothing.
Which is here's the thing. I don't want you guys to misunderstand. This is a good thing. We don't. Yeah. We just not need more characters.
This is probably the number of characters we should have had in the first book.
Yes, absolutely. I don't know if they realized that after the fact, or if it was just a coincidence or what. But just saying, like I'm not complaining that we don't have more characters. We don't need more characters. I don't care why. This is a good thing. Ultimately, this is all a good thing. So, yeah.
So yeah. Charlie also figures out that it's a direct line from her dad's house to her dorm room. She is like, oh, they're on their way here. Great. Yeah. So Charlie and the gang go searching around a neighborhood for where they might be headed next. They extrapolate, triangulate, and after accidentally aggroing a guard dog, they find where they might be buried. Charlie starts digging, and they find something that looks like a Freddy, and they retreat to call Burke. Charlie sends Jessica and John to the gas station to call Clay while she babysits the Freddy in the ground. Jessica on the drive, or chapter 8 now, Jessica on the drive to the gas station plies John for information about his time with Charlie, and then they discuss whether Charlie has changed or not. They agree that she hasn't. This was a weird conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Like, do you think Charlie's changed? And it's like, is she trying to trick him into saying yes?
Yeah. I wasn't clear on this one either. I'm not sure. And the idea of Charlie changing comes up later in the book too. It's odd. It's an odd moment, I have to say.
Yeah. So they get to the gas station, and the attendant plays the same exact damn joke on them that he did on Charlie with the taxidermied coyote.
Fucking coyote, yeah.
There's not much going on in Hurricane, Idaho. To be fair, they're in Idaho, right? Is that where it is?
Is it Idaho? I think
Utah? I can't remember.
I think it's Utah. It's a state you wouldn't pay money to live in. I'm joking. I love our Idaho and Utah fans.
Our Idahoans.
Idahoans and the Utahns.
Or I think they're Utahns.
Utahns? Oh, that actually does sound kind of cool, actually. That sounds like a cast of Tau in 40K, the Utahns.
It's like the Utahns are in their mech suits, and they're about to for the machine.
I love it. For the greater good, Utahns.
For the greater good, Utahns.
I can get behind that. I like that.
Yeah, there we go. Actually, you should just make up a Vampire the Masquerade vampire,
like a bloodline, the Utahns,
called the Utahns.
Yeah,
and
I like it.
It's a vampire that uses mech suits.
That's Yeah, that actually has to be a thing. That has to be a thing.
It's like mech suits powered by blood, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, honestly, that does sound pretty fucking metal.
And maybe like they're like a little steampunky. I don't know.
Yeah. Mech suits powered by blood. There's something there. There's got to be something there.
There's something there.
It can't be any stupider than the thing I'm writing now. So, we'll just, you know what? We're gonna chase that car and find out what derelict neighborhood it takes us down.
Here's the thing, kids. When you're learning how to write a story, you got to be able to understand that you're not chasing cool.
No,
you're chasing just a little bit dumb.
Yeah, it's the dumb ratio. You gotta, yeah. I think the best thing that ever happened to me as a writer was because when you're writing, you get so caught up in your head about these cool ideas, these cool plots you have. And I think the greatest thing that could possibly happen to you is when you realize plots are fucking a dime a dozen. Doesn't matter how clever you think your plot is, someone else has already come up with it. So it's very freeing to actually write down the words mech suits powered by blood and go, I could probably do something with that. Like, that's very freeing as a writer. That's good. That's where you want to be, in my opinion.
Yeah. Mech suits powered by blood.
I like it.
What were we talking about? Oh, Five Nights at
FNAF.
Freddy's.
The Utahns.
Utahns. They call Clay at the gas station, and everybody goes back to join Charlie, including Clay. And Charlie shows Clay the Freddy in the dirt, and Clay goes to check on. He's like, all right, you guys stay here. I'm going to go check out these apartment buildings nearby to make sure there's like no people in there that can be victimized by these automatons.
Mm-hmm.
When Clay returns, the Freddy is waking up. So they're like, all right, everybody get into the car.
Yeah, there's like, you know what? No, fuck it.
We're just gonna wait. We're gonna wait in the car for this to happen.
Yeah, for the rest of this, we'll be outside.
Yeah. Clay says he told the people that there was a gas leak to get everybody out of the buildings. Charlie, while they're in the car, Charlie experiments more with the diagnostic disc that emits sound. John feels like he's going to throw up. Mm-hmm. Time passes and the kids fall asleep, and Clay is thinking about the last argument he had with his wife before they split, which it's weird. He's like, that's the last thing I ever said to her. And it's like, really? Like, nothing?
Nothing.
You didn't say anything? There's no like buys or whatever. That was it.
And that's the extent of this journey, by the way. We don't go any further than that little moment of him thinking about his wife. And like, that's it. We're done.
They were happily married in the first book.
Yeah. Okay.
And then not in the second.
Not. And then not. Yeah.
Just getting rid of characters left and right. I really appreciate that.
You know what? Yeah, I admire the razor sharp effectiveness with which Kira is cutting the fat, so to speak.
Yeah.
I respect it.
So one of the streetlights go out, and Clay goes out of the car with the flashlight, and he notices that they're gone. Yeah. And he runs off. And then Charlie wakes up John and Jessica to follow, even though Clay, who's already in pursuit of the animatronics across the field, tells them to get back in the car. They get to the apartment building and they hear a scream, and they missed somebody. They missed telling somebody to get out of the apartment, and they follow the scream out to a field by a fence, by like a tree line. And they find one of the animatronics like vomiting up this like chest cavity open, vomiting this woman out of him. Yeah. After spring trapping her, and she like falls down to the ground. And then the animatronic, which looks like a wolf, stares at Charlie before running off into the woods. Yeah. Clay checks on the woman on the ground while John and Charlie leave to get help.
kind kind of cool. Like I liked that image. I thought that was pretty haunting.
Yeah,
that
the idea of it's like just like vomiting this woman out of its chest, after her
that's
spring
that's
trapping
pretty
her.
grim for a kid's book. Like that's not bad. Not bad.
Chapter 9. Charlie's in class taking an exam, one of those blue book exams, while she's reminiscing back to her childhood and how her dad would disassemble his creations and her toys all the time, but had no clue as to why he would bury some of them alive in the mausoleum that was walled up in their house.
That is that's a fair
point. Also, Charlie's dad does not seem like a great dad.
No, I couldn't help but think maybe the bar is set pretty low in terms of his ability. It's always the engineer dad. You know what I mean? It's, I'm joking. I apologize to all of our engineer dad fans who are from Utah and or Idaho.
Utahn engineers with their blood battle mechs.
It just writes itself. It's beautiful.
Bill takes his notebook back out.
Yes, I want you people to know I actually wrote this down. Mech suits powered by blood. I'm going to do something with this. I don't know what, but it's going to happen.
Oh, God. Well, it's because blood has hemoglobin in it, and that carries oxygen around the mech suit for its to deliver it to the small combustion engines.
Yeah, which are people.
Which are people.
Yeah.
They shrink tiny people down.
Tiny people. And they're just popping up and out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Duh. Writing is not hard, okay?
Writing is not hard. It's finding an idea that is just a little dumb and really believing in it.
Fucking easy.
Why aren't
more of you doing it? It's so easy.
Tell Stephen King that he didn't need to write on writing. It's because it's easy.
Yeah. Call Clive Barker a hack and move on.
Hellbound Heart. More like Hellbound Fart.
I knew. God damn it. I knew where you were going with that, and it still completely took me off guard. I knew immediately what you were going to say. I knew immediately, and I still crumbled. It's fucking pitiful. Fucking pitiful.
So Charlie clearly fails her exam because she doesn't even write an answer, and she just hides her blue book under her arm and leaves the classroom.
Yeah, which might be the first time it's you know what, your priorities here are a little fucked up. Yeah, you failed. Don't worry about it. You got lots of time to make up for that later. Let's deal with the task at hand.
You'll be okay.
Yeah.
You'll be okay, Charlie.
Yeah.
You know? John meets Charlie outside her classroom to tell her that the woman they found is going to be okay. And Charlie tells him in response that he doesn't have to keep being involved in this. And then he's like, nonsense. How about some dinner tonight at the same restaurant?
Yeah.
And Charlie's like, okay. Charlie then goes back to her dorm. She tells Theodore, the head of Theodore, rather, because remember, she disassembled Theodore, that she thinks there's something wrong with her because the disc that keeps making John sick sings to her.
So let's review. The thing that she thinks is wrong with her has nothing to do with talking to a disembodied head, but rather this other thing. Okay, got it.
Yeah, got it. Check.
Got it.
So she's going to solve this on her own, and she leaves. She packs up a bag, and she gets out of there. And she drives to what I assume is the next location for the animatronics to be, which happens to be a model house. And at this point, the Arrested Development theme song is playing in my head.
Bingo. Bingo.
Little ukuleles just strumming along.
Yeah. In fact, the whole rest of the book will go by a lot smoother if you just hear the narrator's voice as the narrator of this book.
No, it's Ron Howard narrating the rest of this book.
This whole experience is gonna be that much richer and more fulfilling if that's just where you go in your head. You'll be happier.
Yeah. Next time on Arrested Development.
Next time on The Twisted Ones.
It cuts to Job in front of the animatronic, and he goes, and I'll call it Fuck City.
I love it.
So she goes to the model house, checks the fridge. There's a dead dove, don't open inside bag. And, she opens it, and then she says to herself, I don't know what I expected. She looks around the house, noting how fake everything is, including the bowl of fruit on the table. And no, she doesn't. But she does note that the table is made of actual, like, it's like cardboard, basically. Balsa wood.
Yeah. The styrofoam of trees.
Balsa wood. She goes up to one of the bedrooms and she lays down in the bed and she's thinking to herself that she is going to see Sammy soon. So I'm not sure what her plan is here, but we'll continue on because what happens, maybe that was her plan all along. I don't know. Yeah. Meanwhile, John's at the restaurant being stood up again. And he calls Clay and he tells him that she never showed to dinner. And Clay's like, stay right there. I'm going to come pick you up.
Clay's going to have a long conversation with him about beta male mentality.
He's like, listen,
after this
son.
is all over.
Listen, son, she's cucking you.
Yeah, dude, come on. My wife was cucking me. I got rid of her ass. And now the book's way slimmer and more streamlined. It's better. Just trust me, it's better.
And then Clay's like, all right, he's like, just listen, here's some Joe Rogan. I'm going to start playing Joe Rogan. And you're going to feel better about yourself.
You're going to feel so much better.
And your masculinity.
Yeah. Yeah. Here's some creatine.
Some creatine.
Everything's going to be all right, son.
Everything's going to be all right. He's like,
have I told you about a little group called MGTOW? Anyway. We really should go our own way.
This guy, he's a kickboxer, but he's really got some good...
I love
it. It's just funny because every time I see that stupid men going their own way thing, all I can think of is the song Go Your Own Way.
Yeah, Fleetwood Mac. Yeah.
Go your own way. And it's like, that is for a group of men being like, yeah, fuck women. Like, and then the first thing that comes to mind is a Fleetwood Mac song.
Yeah, yeah.
Much like how the Proud Boys are named after a song from the Aladdin musical.
That's right. Yeah, yeah. Ugh.
It was like cut from cut from the movie, and then it was used in the musical. Because why would you just why would you throw that song out forever? But yeah.
Come on, that's perfectly good lyric. You put that lyric in a bowl and add some water, you got a stew.
You got a stew, baby. A lot of Arrested Development references tonight.
A lot of them tonight, guys. A lot of them.
Did you know at Burger King you can refill your soda? I think that's the same scene. Carl Weathers at Burger
I love
King.
that man so much. I love him so much.
So, Chapter 10, Charlie's having trouble sleeping in the model house, and wonders if the disc is messing with her memories of William Afton. Then she realizes that there is something in the house. Charlie moves around the house, looking around, and then she sees one of them in silhouette in the far bedroom. She retreats to the bedroom that she was in, and she lays back down and tries to pretend to sleep.
That's okay. That's a choice.
Choices are being made.
I haven't seen that particular choice made in a horror movie recently.
Yeah,
fair enough.
So she opens her eyes and looks around the room when the noises stop, but then suddenly Freddy is at the foot of her bed, and he distends his jaw and begins to eat her like a snake. And Charlie is sucked inside of Freddy.
I kind of loved that scene. It's just like I don't know if it's the concept of a robot eating and or vomiting you up, but those two scenes actually really, I was like, you know what, that if I were 12 and I read this book, that would fuck me up a little bit.
That would give you nightmares. Yeah,
not bad. Not bad.
Not
Miss
bad.
Breed Risley.
Not bad at all. John and Clay get to the house that Charlie went to, but it's too late. She's gone, except for her sneakers, and so are the animatronics.
Bum,
bum, bum, bum. So, how you feeling after part 2?
I'm enjoying myself. It's there are some moments I have to admit, I wrote at one point in one of my notes, I said that sometimes this is written like a low budget horror film where they can't afford to actually put in the animatronics.
Yes.
And so they're, and so they're like talking about them a lot, and they're like still statues of them, and that can work. There's room for that to work. And maybe I would have gotten them moving a little faster than this, but when they start actually showing up and doing horrible things, and I told you before, I still am not entirely sure how much of this I am gauging based on how disappointed I was in the first book.
Sure.
But the fact of the matter is I'm kind of looking forward to reading the third one now after we're done with this. Like this isn't half bad. This is not as bad as it could have been. So
I think my like the individual scenes are pretty neat. I think my only hang up is that sometimes the description, like the actual description of what is going on in the scene, can read a little confusing. Sometimes there's just like an inconsistency in like in there being a coherent location that they are in. Sort of like when they're trying to find the animatronic and they find the dog and the like where they were, I was like, I'm having trouble actually picturing where they are right now.
That's totally fair. I absolutely get that. And I wonder sometimes, because I think you're right. I think the individual scenes are better than the sum of its parts, and it doesn't hang together as well as it could. And I wonder sometimes, actually, with all of our talking about eliminating characters and stuff like that, I have to wonder if there wasn't an entire B line that involved, or even B and C line that involved the other characters from the other book, and it wasn't just removed whole cloth from the whole thing, because they recognized it as more padding or something, and they tried to trim it up and sew it together real nice, but there's still like this evidence that there's some pockets. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a possibility. Like if they shaved 50 pages out of it or something like that.
Right.
Towards the end of the editing process or something like that, and that just kind of weakens the ligaments of the story.
The connective tissue. Yeah. To keep that metaphor going. I think there's something to that. Yeah.
Otherwise, I'm enjoying it, and I think this book actually has some actual horrifying elements to it. Like
the first book was so boring.
The first book was so boring, and there really wasn't any real interesting kills. In fact, it would do like that that old movie thing, like 90s PG-13 horror movie thing, where it would like cut away before something really gross would happen. You know what I mean? And I think this one is just like, oh yeah, she gets swallowed by Freddy like a snake, and this
fucking awesome.
Woman is vomited up by this wolf animatronic from its chest. Like
fucking cool, man. Yeah.
Fucking cool.
That's doing it. Why? There's no reason that killer animatronics can't be scary, like, at all. If you can't make them scary, then you fucked up.
Right.
And they seem to have picked up on that a little bit with this book. So I'm impressed. I'm suitably impressed. B minus so far. I'm not
B minus so far.
Yeah, not bad. Not bad.
Not bad at all. So with all that being said, Phil, what are you playing?
Oh gosh. I'm so glad you asked because I actually have these written down here. I did finish Doom 2016. Had a rip roaring good time with that. That's just, I mean, it goes without saying, but come on, that's still just one of the most fun goddamn games to pick up and play.
Right.
I really enjoyed that. And then because we were steadily running out of Halloween time, I quickly threw on Homestar Runner's Halloween Hide and Seek adventure game.
That's
which
great.
was a delight. It's $2 and it takes like half an hour, and it's basically a game version of Homestar Runner's Halloween episodes, you know, and everyone's dressed in different ways and they're all hiding from you. And the cool thing, and you'll love this, Kevin, everyone is dressed as different retro point and click characters.
Oh, that's awesome.
So there's like a Loom reference, there's Monkey Island references, it's terrific. It's really, really neat.
I mean, these guys, like, you know, the Brothers chaps were basically, they grew up on the same exact stuff that we did, you know.
Exactly. They're our guys. Like they are our dudes, and it shows with this because and these are not like, there's no like King Graham here or anything like. These are obscure minor characters for the most part from like Sam and Max and all that shit. And
it's awesome.
It's super fun.
Took
me half an hour to beat.
Yeah.
I loved it. I thought it was great. Great way to you know, rein in the holiday. The big thing that I played though this week that really impressed me, and I'm looking forward to more of it, was I actually played a demo for like for a long time. And it's for this game called Micro Civilization. Have you heard this?
Okay. No, I haven't. No.
It is, as the name suggests, it's a Civ game. It's a clicker.
Okay.
And so there's that portion of like clicking versus automating things, and you are building up this civilization and you expand into different territories, and you can trade with different areas, and you can fight barbarians and take their land. You can you know, take over forests and use them as woodland, you know, as lumber sources. And the entire time, every time you get to a certain end game within the research process, because there are different tiers of research, like any 4X, you end it ends and you start over, and it's like a roguelike kind of situation. And there's a Tower of Babel aspect, and every time you can build a new slice of the tower, you're increasing your access to all kinds of different things, and it's fun, and it's fun in that kind of nice, simple, addictive way that some clickers are. Although I think this is better than most clickers I've played. But the art style in particular really sets it apart. It's a lovely retro.
And this is just a demo, right?
This is just the demo, and it's totally free, and I played it for like 3 hours. I played it through, because the end game, you can't build the Tower of Babel slices. That's why it's the demo.
Okay.
And I must have gone through it like 3 or 4 times, just trying to try different things out and everything. And the full game is coming out, I think, in like a week and a half, and I'm doing it because I haven't been this engrossed by a demo in a while. Like, I was really impressed.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. So
I'll have to check that out.
I think it's fun, super fun.
I like a little bit of, like, I'm not as much of a 4X guy as you are, necessarily. I mean, I know you're not huge on 4X. That's like, you love your Civ games, but not
sure.
Not like whatever. What's the Paradox?
Interactive I can't, like Crusader Kings and everything. Yeah, I
those
have to draw a
spreadsheet
line.
4X games
Jesus
where it's
Christ.
just you got like 20 windows open.
Those are. I wish I was like present of mind enough to, because they look fascinating, but every time I've tried to get into them, they have been scalding levels of failure.
It's like there's too much. There's too much stuff.
It's so much, and it should be.
You've been playing for an hour, and you were like, "Shit, I haven't even opened the window for taxing."
Right. You mean I've been just doing it on default this entire time? I'm a fucking asshole. Like, no, it's no. I know exactly what you mean, and I think that's the thing about this is it does have all of the fun little gadgets and of playing a 4X, but it's simplified but incredibly satisfying. At least that's how the demo's been. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how it's only going into early access when it's being released too. So it's not even going to be in its full form. But I'm definitely going to throw some shekels their way because I really enjoyed it. That's something that stuck with me this week. Yeah. What about you, Kevin? What have you been playing?
Okay, so I've still been playing Alan Wake. I think I'm almost at the end of Alan Wake 2. It's really good. I mean, it's got a lot of really neat stuff going for it. I think there might be some like differences if you play on like I've been playing on mouse and keyboard and it feels really good. I know some people have said on controller it doesn't feel great. Which I can understand. But yeah, with mouse and keyboard, it's been fun. They've de-emphasized like combat is still there, right? But it's more in the survival horror vein rather than just like an action shooter, which is what the first game was. Yeah. Limited resources, and it's really easy to die in combat. Like it's so easy to die. Okay. But a lot more of it is about, so you have two characters, Saga Anderson, and she's an FBI agent, and her thing is all about investigation. So she has a case board, and you're like pinning up photos of evidence and stuff like that on her case board to like paint a fuller picture of what's going on. And on the flip side, you have Alan Wake, and you're playing his stuff in the dark place or whatever it's called. And he instead of a case board, he has a storyboard. And as he gets to locations in this dark place, which are like places in New York City, they become scenes on his storyboard. And then there are different characters or moments that he can swap in on those scenes, and the entire location will change to fit that moment. So,
okay.
Like it's like a big old puzzle solving thing. Like there's one where it's like, all right, I got to get by this train that's closed off, and you have to you get one thing and it's like, no, that doesn't do it, and then you switch it over to like this cult of torchbearers or something like that, and you find out that like you flip it over to that and you find the train burnt, and now the door is open and everybody on the train has been burnt to a crisp. But because you switched it over, and it's like basically it's switching it after like a terrorist attack or like a sacrifice or something like that. Right. And the doors are now open, but everybody is dead, and you're able to go through, as opposed to before when it's just like a blank scene or whatever. It's just a train and you can't get through it.
I seem to recall the Blair Witch game having a similar mechanic. In a way, where it's like you're looking through a camcorder and like you're able to the same place but at a different time, and you kind of meld them together. It's a similar kind of thing. That's really fucking cool. That's excellent for a game based on a writer. Yeah, you know, like that sounds more like it. Really does.
Yes, it's a lot more like what it should have been from the very beginning. Yeah. So yeah, I really love it so far. It's probably going to be in my tier 2. I'm like figuring out my tiers of game of the year. Nice. So 5 games at a time. It'll probably be in the 6 through 10 category. Nice. So at the moment, and we're, obviously everything is fluid. We got RoboCop coming out tomorrow.
It's out. Yeah.
It's out. Is it available now?
Yep. I was just looking at it. It looks like a lot of fun. I'm not a huge RoboCop guy, but fuck, it looks fun. It looks really good.
Yeah. I mean, RoboCop was Paul Verhoeven, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, okay. I gotta support the Verhoeven.
absolutely.
You know,
And you don't even have
Verhoeven.
to buy it for $1. It's $50.
I'll buy that for $1. And then, you know, the maybe they'll let us melt the guy from ER while we're at it.
Oh, I mean, come on.
It was the
gotta
same
do
guy, right? He was like the asshole doctor from ER.
Is it? I never watched ER. I don't know.
Oh gosh. Yeah, there's like this asshole doctor in ER. I think it's played by the same guy who gets melted by the toxic waste
Nice.
in RoboCop. Spoilers for RoboCop.
Yeah, spoilers for a 40-year-old movie. Sorry.
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 I feel like RoboCop's like one of those movies you can't really spoil. It just like is.
Yeah, I agree. I think you're right. It's
like you can't spoil the experience of watching RoboCop.
No, it's always been there. It always will be. Like that kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So other than that, Marvel Snap, I'm too deep into Marvel Snap now. I'm back, baby.
Same.
I got Werewolf by Night.
Oh, you did get him. Okay.
I did get him. Yeah, he's interesting. He's a lot of fun. But he breaks my brain a little bit to play.
I gotcha.
Because so his mechanic is every time you play an on-reveal card, Werewolf by Night moves to that location
Yeah.
and gains +2 power. So there's a few caveats to that. Mystique is an on-reveal card, but because her power is copying an ongoing card, when she gets played, so play as in like the full action of a card being played, right? It comes down, it does its thing, it's out. Then Werewolf by Night moves to that location. Mystique, for example, on reveal copies, I don't know, Iron Man or something like that. Werewolf by Night doesn't move because it checks against the lane and it doesn't see that there's an on-reveal card anymore. It sees ongoing double this lane's power.
Okay.
So there's like a few little things, little things to keep in mind with that. Same thing. I think it doesn't work for the Goblin cards. I don't think necessarily do it either.
Right.
But you can easily. It's a 3-drop, and you can easily get it up to 11 power. You know, if you get it, if you have it on turn 3, you drop it, and you just you just walking the dog. You know, you're just walking the dog back and forth between the lanes. He is hard countered by Sandman.
Yeah.
If the opponent's playing Sandman, he's not going to scale too much because Sandman is a one. You can only play one card per turn. The best ways to scale Werewolf by Night. So Werewolf by Night, Hit Monkey is very similar.
Yeah.
Where you know how in Hit Monkey you would want to drop a lot of cards on the turn that you're playing.
1 or 2 point
one
cards.
or two, yeah. So Werewolf by Night, turn 6, you want to juice him up a lot. You're spreading out a lot of on reveals across the 3 lanes, and he's just going boop 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 boop.
Yeah, and if you can only play one card because of fucking Sandman, then that just
exactly
totally cuts you off at the knees.
Sandman, anything that limits movement. So honestly, if you see Werewolf by Night go into the meta, I'm gonna guess you're gonna see Kingpin pop in.
Okay, sure, yeah.
So because Kingpin does is if a card moves here on turn 6, destroy it. So
Destroy
I think
it.
I think that would be like a Kingpin thing.
Yeah,
that would make
makes
sense.
Ripley, for God's sake. She just cannot stand the idea that she isn't going to be the guest star every single episode now.
Oh,
Especially now that I'm out here at the study.
She's just a sweet little baby.
She's just a little baby.
But that's all I'm playing right now.
Nice.
Probably RoboCop. by the next episode.
Let's be real. It's gonna be RoboCop. Yeah,
it's gonna be RoboCop.
I tried playing Alan Wake 2. I think I can't make it work on my machine. I've tried a bunch of stuff. I think there might be something with the Epic Game Store that's just not agreeing with me for now. So, but I'm gonna have to come revisit it later.
Sure.
But I did play just enough of it to be like, fuck, like this is very, very good. Like it's they've clearly gone in the right direction with this franchise.
Right. Yeah.
So I'm very interested in seeing how you like it by the end of it when you're finished with it.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm looking forward to the final couple hours or so. But that will do it for tonight's episode. Phil, before we go, do you have a website for anyone to go to and look at?
I think what people probably should do is go to patreon.com/pixelitpod, where you can either join one of our paid tiers and have access to all kinds of cool exclusive stuff, or just join the free tier and be a part of the community. Join us in the Discord and check us out. It's a super lot of fun. I absolutely adore. I don't spend as much time in the Discord as I should, but I will say I absolutely adore everyone in there, and it's so much fun to see all of the different tangents. It's nice to know that our fans go on just as many unrelated tangents as we do.
Oh, yes. Yeah. No, there's an entire channel where it's just two people, two friends of ours, friends of the pod, just talking about Dota, I believe.
Yeah.
Is what Harry and Visa are talking about all the time in there.
Not a game that either of us play, but fuck it, man. You're here.
Fuck it, man. You're here. And talk Dota, you know?
Yeah.
Talk about whatever. Just get into the Pixelit Discord. It's a lot of fun.
Absolutely.
Speaking of Patreon,
yes.
We got to shout out a friend known as Friendly Friend.
Friendly Friend, who has been with us for a good while now. Thank you so much for your patronage.
Thank you so much, Friendly Friend. Yeah.
It means a lot to us.
This is like the 6th or 7th episode that we've shouted out Friendly Friend for. And
I know.
You know what, Friendly Friend? Thank you.
You're a cool person, Friendly Friend.
You're a cool person. Thank you for being a friendly friend.
Absolutely.
I'm not going to sing the song again.
No, I don't think. You did it too good. We almost got copyright blocked because of it.
Yeah.
It was too accurate to the song.
Right.
And we just can't afford to get into that kind of trouble.
Sometimes you got to go, though, where everybody knows your name.
That's true. You do need to do that. Yeah.
And that's at on Blue Sky and X and Instagram. Everybody knows our name there at Pixelit Pod. Just put it in the search bar. Sometimes you just got to go there and do it. I actually just called it X without even specifying Twitter.
Ooh, that does feel dirty.
That feels like Elon's winning.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, which he categorically is not. To be fair,
which he categorically is not. I mean, he's losing. He lost billions.
Lost big time. I do want to take a minute to tell everybody that by the time this comes out, it will be my first novel is coming out. Novella is coming out. It should be next week when this comes out.
Hell yeah.
Juice. It is a horror piece about the wine industry. It's like a cross between Sideways and American Psycho. And you can get it from Psychotoxin Press. Check us out. We'll definitely be throwing that around. Be on the lookout for my second novel, Mech Suits Powered by Blood, coming out summer of 2025.
That's not just a novel. That is going to be a Dune-like epic.
Yeah. It's not just a novel, it's an experience.
Whoever controls the blood.
Frank Herbert ripped me off, man.
It's just going to be a word-for-word rip-off of Dune, except it's blood instead of spice.
It's just blood. It's Dune crossed with Iron Lung.
It's Dune crossed with Iron Lung.
That's it. It's all it needs
to be. It's like we go to these planets to mine blood. All right, that'll do it for tonight's episode. Thank you so much for listening, everybody, and have a good night.
Bye.